How long after implementing Feng Shui before you get some good luck into your life and into your work? That's a question that came in this morning on my page, and I thought about answering it, like typing out the answer, and I knew it was going to take me forever to do that because there's so much to address in terms of this. So I decided to pop on this way and do a quick live to answer this question. I'm sure other people have wondered this question, and I think the answers are very telling. So I think it's a good conversation to have. So thank you, Teresa, who posted this question. I'm going to give you a little summary of what she asked. It basically was, how long before Feng Shui brings good luck? I'm a little bit frustrated. I've been cleaning and decluttering, but yet I still keep spiraling downward energetically. I'm losing energy instead of gaining it. And I see lots of other people doing cleaning and decluttering and organizing, and it's helping them. Why isn't it helping us? Such a good, powerful question. And I have so many answers. So the first thing I would say is, honestly, when I work with clients, they typically feel a noticeable difference within the first couple of changes that they make. So when we have a session, we'll talk about what the priorities are, and they'll go off and do those changes. And they typically report back that they notice a difference. Has their luck changed yet? Have we solved the problem that they initially brought forth and really wanted to accomplish by bringing Feng Shui into their life and into their home? Probably not yet, but they can tell that things are different and that it feels better and that they're headed in the right direction. So that is typically pretty quick. And if it doesn't show up quickly, I would say then we go back and we look at other areas. There's something we missed. The other thing that I will say is that typically when people are decluttering and getting rid of things from their home, I typically find that people feel a noticeable difference from that act alone. Like they are, when they take some time to clean out a closet, they always come back and say, it feels so much lighter. Why did I wait so long to do this? And if you're doing that decluttering process and that clearing process and not getting that result, that is a telltale sign to me that something else is going on. So the issue isn't necessarily, the first issue isn't the clutter. That's not the problem. There's something else going on energetically within the space that is not allowing the energy to flow despite the decluttering. One of my things with people who go in and they start decluttering first is that it feels so good. Like when they start decluttering, they get such great results. The space feels better. They feel lighter. They might even get some, amazing, unexpected results. Like all of a sudden a new client comes walking through the door or some new opportunity appears. Like they start to see that as like positive flow. And they don't go any further with the Feng Shui. They just keep the decluttering process and aren't actually Feng Shuiing. And so that's one of the concerns I have with that decluttering and the fact that it usually does work for people. Sometimes people get stuck in that part of the process and they're not actually Feng Shuiing. Like decluttering is not Feng Shuiing. So that's truly what my first point here is that Feng Shui is far more than cleaning, decluttering, and organizing. We are looking at so much more on an energetic level. And certainly in today's modern day and age, when it comes to energy flow, we have to look at stuff and clutter and the accumulation of things because that does impact how energy flows within the space. But if you look at the ancient practice of Feng Shui, they didn't talk about clutter because people didn't accumulate the way that we accumulate in this current modern world. So it's kind of a new thing, and it does affect the energy flow. And like I said, often when you start by decluttering, you'll start to feel some positive energy and some positive momentum. And so that's a great start. but it's not Feng Shui. Feng Shui is looking at so many different levels and layers. And if you're decluttering and not feeling a noticeable difference that's encouraging you to continue moving forward, then I would suggest that the problem is somewhere else energetically within the space. So let's talk about what some of those things could be. First of all, when we come into a Feng Shui consultation, we're not just looking at the space itself or the stuff in the space, we're also looking at the energy flow around the property itself. So we're looking at neighboring properties and how that energy is impacting the energy of your property, neighboring structures and how their structure is influencing the way energy flows to your structure or not, and even landscaping and how that's affecting the way energy flows into your house or away from your house. So just yesterday, I was on a call with a new client, and in her intake form, she really wanted to address the Bagua map of her home and understand which area to really go and focus in on first. And based on her, intake form and what she said her challenges were, and based on what I saw in the videos that she sent me of her property before we met, we didn't even look at the Bagua map until 2/3 of the way into the conversation. We were looking outside of the house at things that were going on outside of the structure that were affecting the way energy was flowing to it and whether or not they were getting enough energy into the house in general. And I really believe that was the number one key thing. Like, you can declutter all you want on the inside, but if energy is not coming to your house, you're still going to feel drained. You're still going to feel like you have a lack of energy. And so think about that. The other thing, there are lots of layers to Feng Shui that we're looking at in a Feng Shui consultation. So we look at the balance of 5 elements in the space: water, wood, earth, metal, and fire, and how those elements are influencing the energy of the space, the way the energy flows in the space, and how the space feels overall. So again, this is something where you can be doing a bunch of decluttering, but if you have an element that's out of balance within the space, like you have too much metal in the space, your space is still going to feel cold, inflexible, not pleasant or warm and inviting to be in. So all that decluttering, you're not going to make a shift in the elemental balance without specifically paying attention to that. The other thing that I would think about paying attention to is where energy is leaking away from you or draining away from your home. So plumbing is something we look at. Windows and back doors are things that we look at. And even the shape of the landscape and whether it is encouraging energy to stay, like contain it within your property, or whether it's forcing the energy to drain away from you. So if you're decluttering, but the energy is coming into your house and it's leaking away right away, you're still not getting the benefit of that vital chi to energize you, to energize your life, to energize your work so that your luck can change. So you're not addressing the true issue. And then we also look at the position that you're in within the energy of the space. So you can be decluttering all day long, but if you're sitting or sleeping in energies that are unsupportive, put you in vulnerable energies and make your subtle body feel unsettled or weak or vulnerable, you're not going to feel the benefits of any of that decluttering that you're doing. You're just not going to feel it. You're still sitting in an energy flow that day after day is impacting you in a negative way, and that is over time, hour after hour, day after day, week after week, year after year, it's having a significant influence on your personal vitality. So we look at that. We look at where you're seated and where you're arranged in the places where you spend a lot of time in, and shift things so that you are sitting in the best possible energy, which energizes you, which changes your frequency, which changes your luck, right? So there's so many layers to this Feng Shui stuff. And then the other thing I would say is, decluttering and cleaning and organizing is not Feng Shui in terms of activating the Bagua map areas. And so that's another layer to look at. Like once you've cleaned out your space, there are other feng shui steps to take to really harness and tap into the energy around you. And the Bagua map is another one of those ways that we use, excuse me, that we're able to influence that. And so even if you're decluttering, like if you're purposefully decluttering the wealth corner so that you attract more wealth into your life, if you have not decluttered other areas or there's energy blocks in other areas of your Bagua map, it's still going to prevent the energy from getting to that one area that's the real challenge. So the Bagua map is a key area, and activating the right areas within your home and within your Bagua map are key in activating the energies and calling the energies where they need to go to support what's going on in your life and in your situation. And so again, if you're making these changes but you're not noticing a difference, it's kind of like barking up the wrong tree. Like there's something that you're missing that is not, you're not getting to the source of the problem. Despite cleaning, organizing, decluttering, even if you're enhancing Bagua map areas, you've probably missed the real block, the real key. And the other thing I'll say, because in the detailed question, Teresa mentioned flying stars, which is a school of feng shui that looks at the date and location and the time of your birth and how that influences your energy. And there are several schools of feng shui that look at your personal luck and how that influences you, and using sort of astrological cures and time-based cures to shift your energy. And those are other layers. Like that's a whole other layer of feng shui that you can tap into to give yourself, even more energy or even more of an energetic advantage. But you're not going to get a lot of results from that if the other foundations aren't in place in your work. So you still got to make sure the energy is getting to your front door. You still got to make sure that there isn't energy leaking away. So those other layers of feng shui that you can implement, they need to have this foundation in place before they will start to benefit you, or you won't get as good a result. So I think this is a really powerful question to ask. I'm so glad you asked it because I think it's a great question. And I think there are a lot of people who ask it or wonder it, and many people who are DIYing the feng shui process based on what they've read or getting tips from groups or getting tips from this page, and they're not getting the results that they expected. They're not getting the results they wanted. It's taking a really long time for them to get results. They kind of, maybe it feels like it's one step forward, two steps back, and it's frustrating. Just like you said, it feels frustrating. And what I would say is that, honestly, if you have a cold is something that you can treat yourself and you can treat at home. But if you're struggling long term with a challenge and you are not, and you've been treating yourself, maybe you have, like to equate it to a cold, if you have a chronic illness and you're trying to treat it yourself, you really can't make forward progress because you don't have what you need. You need to go to a practitioner, a doctor who specializes in that to help you get the support that you need to move forward. And sometimes that's the key. Like you're spending a lot of time and a lot of energy on this decluttering process and spinning your wheels, not feeling like you're making progress. And it's because you're missing what the real energy key is, where the real block is. And sometimes you do need some expert advice to help you narrow in on where that is. Like that's what we do in a consultation. And if that is something that's beyond you, I would encourage you to maybe even stop decluttering for a bit, because that might not be the true challenge, the true issue, and take a look at these other layers of feng shui and what's going on around your property, what's going on within your house, where is the energy feeling harsh or unsettled, and where can you make some adjustments to your Bagua map or try a different cure within the Bagua map. Yeah, because if what you've been doing isn't working, you've got to course correct. And certainly that's what I do when I work with clients is, narrow down what's the challenge for you, what's going on in your house, and where do those two things link up. Like from my perspective, I can see that usually pretty quickly, and we can get to the heart of the matter and really start to shift certainly the way the house feels and the way you feel within your house and the energy that you have to bring to your life and your work and to feng shuiing your house. Like that should be almost an instant shift that you can feel the difference. And when I do talk to clients after a session and we've done, come up with a strategy for them to take, if they're not getting that result, we re-look at what's going on and readdress it. So, although I have to say we don't have to do that very often. Like literally people will be like, I can feel a difference. If you're not feeling a difference, you're working in the wrong area. So pay attention to that. Certainly, if you need support, you can reach out to me and I will help. I have packages available and an upcoming group program, so there's lots of options. So send me a direct message if this feels like something that you're bumping up against with your own personal feng shui practice. There were some other amazing questions that Teresa asked regarding some specific things, and I think that those are also really powerful questions to ask or to answer for the group, for everyone. And so I'm going to come back later and do some additional videos to answer those. But in terms of like feng shui is a practice that has been used for thousands of years to change a person's luck and to give them an advantage in life and in business. And if you're implementing things that you've learned or read or heard about and you're not getting the results that you expect, I think it's time to reach out for some expert help on it because it will really save you so much time and energy. And once it shifts, it really shifts quickly. And so you'll feel the benefit and kind of finally propel forward in the things that have been holding you back. So if I can help you, reach out to me. I'm happy to set up a chat with you or do some direct messaging in the background and see what would be the best option for you. That's it. I'll come back in a little while and do some other videos on some other topics. Or if it's not today, it'll definitely be later this week. So that's all. I hope you enjoy that. Take care. Bye.